If you have kids, this podcast is for you. Today we're talking about early childhood, preschool, Tiger Club, community education, and everything in between. We talk with Kayla and Stephanie about the importance of early childhood screening, and a lot of the available activities they are offering this year in Tiger Club and community ed throughout the entire summer. You won't want to miss it.
Welcome to the Princeton Podcast, your go-to source for everything happening in and around Princeton. Join your hosts, Zach, Mary, and Kim, three locals who live and work right here in Princeton, as we bring you the latest events, exclusive interviews with local businesses, and stories that make our town special. Your community, your stories, your podcast.
So I am super excited to have Kayla and Stephanie on the podcast today because I have a little bit of background. I used to work for community education, so I am super excited. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. So should we jump right in? And we have a lot to talk about. So
Yeah, I think we're going to start with early childhood. So Stephanie, what's your role at early childhood?
So I do a lot of things, but officially, and I apologize, we didn't go over this. Should I be looking at you guys?
Oh, yeah. We can.
Yeah, just a total conversation. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not supposed to be like,
No.
sorry, I didn't go over
Yeah,
this.
no, we totally forgot to ask that. Yeah.
So my role is early childhood coordinator, so I see everything early childhood. In community ed, it's a big umbrella, and so I'm under that umbrella in community ed. So early childhood, anything under there, and we'll talk about that today, is under usually me.
Perfect. So what is early childhood for those that don't know?
Yeah, so we encompass screening, we encompass preschool, we encompass ECFE, which stands for Early Childhood Family Education. We help do outreach in the community with daycares or anybody in the community. It could be community members, it could be home daycares to help bring outreach services. For example, maybe they need help with support with something, or they want a live screening at their site because they have needs for that. We would work with them to do it. We try to do story times with the library or other businesses in the community to help just bring awareness for early intervention. That's a huge part also that I'll be talking about today for all children in the community.
You know, and when my kids were of that age, it was, I'm not sure if, there we go. I didn't feel like everybody did preschool. It seems like it's more common now for people to do preschool, to have their kids enrolled in preschool. And I know that I could see a difference in my kids, particularly with the reading, because two of my kids it was a little bit different back then where there was different kinds of preschool happening, I think, where the teachers that have been there for a long time had a method. And so two of my kids kind of moved on from the older method and did real specific reading things. And my middle child stayed kind of with it, was more because he needed more of the, I think, social, emotional. He was having a hard time breaking away and stuff. But when it came to reading, I could tell the difference. I mean, it really makes a difference when you go to kindergarten. When I went to kindergarten, we were learning how to read in kindergarten. Now when kids go to kindergarten, they're already, reading.
Yeah, the variety.
They're expected to know how to read.
It's unbelievable. They're expected to know how to read.
Well, they're not expected,
but
it's highly encouraged to know like letters or letter sounds.
Right.
They'll have a one-up versus somebody maybe who doesn't know their letters and sounds yet.
Yeah.
They're still going to practice those skills in kindergarten, but like what Kayla was saying, it is very much encouraged to maybe have some of those skills already. But again, kindergarten, they're going to get kids that got to go to preschool and kiddos that were maybe not so, I wouldn't say lucky, but weren't exposed in that capacity.
Right.
Because preschool, it's under that community ed hat. And what that means is that we are not fully funded by the state. And so we expect payments from families unless they are on a scholarship. Part of my job is to help families get access to those scholarships if they can't afford it. We want everyone in our community to be able to come to preschool, and we're going to help those families. But we just don't know of the families unless they reach out to us.
Right.
So that's a big part of our job. So again, not every kindergartner in Princeton is able, chooses to go to our preschool. We are so lucky to have different options for families, whether that's at a daycare in our town or home daycares, because they offer preschool as well. I'd like to think, because I am working for Princeton Public Schools, that I get to see it and live it every day, and we are embedded in the K-12 system, and we have so much alignment that we are the best preschool. But it is such a blessing for Princeton to have lots of options for all different types of families.
And it really does make a difference. Like I said, I know from my firsthand experience with my kids what a difference it makes. And do you see that a lot in your
so
work?
much.
Yeah.
Social emotionally, it is like, so that reading part that Kayla was just mentioning, how a lot of teachers, we don't expect it, but that helps coming in. But those skills of social emotional learning, just being able to self-regulate, because that is part of, every kiddo you have seen probably has had a tantrum. That doesn't mean they're a bad kid. They just are learning their emotions. And so first is being able to recognize their emotions and handle whatever they're going through with, practicing sharing, practicing like what you talked about, separating from you back when when your child didn't want to separate from you. So it's all those little things that add up. So obviously we offer a lot of different classes. I can jump right into that. So preschool, they pay for it, and it's usually more expensive than where they go. That is honestly how it is. Similar when Kayla talks about childcare today. So we offer all-day classes. We actually offer a couple different options for families. We have an all-day everyday class, which is focused on kids going into kindergarten that following year. They come to school Monday through Friday. They're able to take the bus to school and take the bus going home at no extra charge. And then we also offer a 2 all-day option and a 3 all-day option. The 3 all-day option is, again, focused for those kids going into kindergarten, but the 2 all-day option would also be available for any kiddo that's 3 by September 1st. Okay. So when we talk about ages for preschool, we're talking about that age by September 1st. So even if the child is turning 4 within that year, what is their age by September 1st? And just so families know, that's also what usually kindergarten goes off of. Are they 5 by September 1st? Then they're eligible to go to kindergarten. So the classes we have for all day, any 3, 4, or 5 can go to it. It just depends on which one they could be eligible for.
And it's nice because it's sort of like a gradual by the time they get to kindergarten, because I know that even the fact of going to school all day. So if you can even get a couple days in and then a few days in and then every day and then kindergarten starts, and it's, for my son, I had a hard time separating. By kindergarten, he was ready to go, and was able to do it. So that would have been a very different experience had he not been in preschool for a few years prior.
And I feel like the all day, every day preschool is more than what I learned in kindergarten. Because we had red day and blue day, so we were
every other day.
We were every other day. Even my oldest son, Jake, he was still at every other day for kindergarten. And gosh, I feel like we were taking naps in kindergarten.
We did take naps in kindergarten.
What these kids are learning in preschool are like what it used to be maybe like first grade. It's just the involvement is crazy, and it's just so important.
And Minnesota actually just reached 10 years where all districts had to offer got funding to offer all day, every day for kindergarten. So Isn't that crazy? It hasn't been that long where they weren't even going to school every day, all day. Yeah. So now to have preschoolers able to go all day, every day, it is a huge change, like so much. So many families say the same thing, that what they learn in preschool, and kindergarten teachers have said the same thing, that the kids that do go to those all-day classes, they have maybe an easier transition. The all-day classes, also a lot of families like the option of just the 3-day and the 2-day, because it is modeling that kindergarten class, but then they still get those days at home if that parent is, working at home and maybe wanting that time, because not every family needs full-time care.
Right.
But so this option would be great for families that still want days at home with their kiddo, or they have a great home daycare in town that they don't want to end that relationship, but they still want their child to be exposed to another teacher. Because the more you can help that child build new relationships, because, home daycare is a lot of time it's another mom or grandma or, grandpa, not trying to gender specific, but, that's another close family member. And so exposing your child to maybe forming another relationship with another teacher and then all their peers, it gets them maybe out of that comfort zone, but helps with that social emotional to be able to do it, because they're going to be expected to do that in kindergarten with multiple teachers and multiple groups of peers.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like everybody should do what they can to consider it, because it's not just, I'm going to send my kid to kindergarten and they're already going to know how to read. I feel like the more important thing is that they're going to learn how to raise their hands, and they're going to learn how, when they shouldn't talk. Standing in a line, they get their lunches every day. It's very similar to how it would be in kindergarten. And those skills are so important.
Yeah, those unspoken skills that are they able, like you just said, stand in a line, are they able to control their bodily functions, to be able to go to the bathroom and to tell the teacher? Because that's number one. Potty training is a continuum. And for hand-in-hand preschool, it's not must all be 100% potty trained. We know that it is as parents, we all know that it's, sometimes today they're potty trained maybe, but the next day it could be we're having more accidents than normal. For preschool, doesn't have to be 100% potty trained. For Tiger Club, it does have to be a little more in control, and there's a process that we follow in there in our handbook. But for our half-day classes, we have lots of options for families because, again, maybe that all-day class option isn't the best for that family. And so we know that we want to offer all options for families, and that half-day option, we have so many options. We have 1 half-day all the way up to 5 half-days next year. So if, like, for a family, they don't want to maybe send them all day, they could go for 5 half-days next year, which is super exciting. So they'd get that exposure every day, but then it's only about 2 hours and 45 minutes. So
and what's a half day?
What's a half day? Yeah, so we have 2 different options, a morning option and an afternoon option, again, to help families figure out what is best for their schedule or best for their child. And we also offer an evening class, which is super fun because parents or caregivers can go with their child to preschool. So a morning class would run from 8 a.m. to 10:45, and then an afternoon class is after that, usually lunchtime, and it's from 12:15 until 3. And then the all-day class is, like I said, all day. It's actually from 8 and it actually goes until 3. And so people that, have kiddos at other buildings, they might be like, well, wait a minute, the primary and intermediate school is a little bit shorter of a day. We have a little bit longer of a day. So if families are looking for busing, we actually ride the tier 1 bus time. So they'd ride to school with their elementary and intermediate friends or siblings. And then at the end of the day, we have a process that they ride with the older kids, but we have an amazing process for that to keep all children safe.
When you talk about families, I also want to talk about the parent part of it, because when I, talk about mention my son having a hard time separating, that was a hard time for me too. And to walk away when he's, please, no, don't leave, and to have a preschool teacher there, it was Elizabeth Scott, telling me, you got to walk away. It's going to be okay. We've got him, and we'll call you if something happens, and you got to walk away. And so to have that training too, and to have a teacher like Elizabeth that you trust and that she knows what to do. She's dealt with this many, many, many times. And, but so that was just a little part of what I learned through early childhood, but also parent classes were so huge for us, and especially with new little ones that, we learned so much that, there's unfortunately, there's not a great big, huge guide that you can just pull off the shelf and say, what do I do as a parent?
How to be a parent. I was just having this discussion today because it's ever changing.
Yes.
And your kiddos one day, when they come to you and they have their own kids, they can't even use the same. You could have written the best book.
Right. And it'll be different.
It's already changed.
Yes.
I was just having that conversation actually this morning.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. So ECFE is those classes that families or caregivers can come with to the class with their child, and they learn maybe even more than the child is. They get that parent interaction time. Some of the classes are separating, and some of them are just they're with their child. So if they're ready to separate, which means when I talk about separate, the caregiver's on site the whole time, but they are gonna, like, the children are gonna be with one teacher, and then the parents or the caregivers are going to go into another room with an adult teacher, and they're going to learn about maybe it is that potty training, or maybe it is like what types of foods can we try to introduce, or maybe it's the new thing that parents are trying to figure out, screen time, all this, the hot topics. But we also offer a lot of stuff maybe if families aren't ready for those, or can't come to those ECFE classes. In our preschool classes, we offer a lot of opportunities for parents and families to come to, like our family nights, where we do have that parent educator there on site to ask any questions. But great point. It is so hard as family members when you drop off your kiddo and then you see them have intense emotion. Typically when, if they're traditionally starting in September back to school, we have a process for that. And we always tell families that if it was an ongoing, if they wouldn't calm down after 15 minutes, we would call them. And we usually always send them a message after they've calmed down. And usually it's typically less than a minute. Yep. But for that parent, you're thinking, maybe you're driving on your way to work, or you have an errand, you're thinking about that way longer than
it's actually happening.
Yes. Because you don't want to, you feel like you're causing that, but it's really probably totally unrelated on why the child's going through that.
Yeah, and it's just something that they're learning. And, and the other thing with the parent classes is to be able to learn from other parents, or to maybe realize that what you're doing or what you're going through is normal. Like you think only my kid, this is only happening to my kid. My kid is not potty trained yet or whatever. And then you're in this group with other parents and they're saying, yeah, that happened with my oldest or that's happening with me now. It makes you feel good about your parenting and that you're doing the best you can and everything's going to be fine. And so even just being able to chat with other parents.
Yeah,
is
and even
great.
if they haven't, maybe because they're not at that stage yet or they haven't, but maybe then when you go through that stage in a couple months, you'll be like, oh, that is normal.
Yes.
They were telling me about this.
Yes.
I knew this would happen.
Yep.
And it's also a lot of new moms because we offer, just so everyone knows, we offer baby classes completely free. So if you have a newborn all the way up to 12 months, they can come to our baby classes. We have one in the daytime and then one at the 4 o'clock time. So if they are working, and then they can meet other new moms and dads. We've had tons of fathers come to classes. It's been amazing to see maybe that transition, especially with lots of companies letting their workers work from home, lots more flexibility with that. But to also network. So that's what I was getting at. Not only are they learning that advice, but also being like, hey, you want to plan a park date because, we only meet once a month, once a week or whatever, but I need to get out of the house on Thursday.
That's right.
Yeah. So now that it's warming up, lots of times we're hearing those conversations. And a lot of times they keep those connections all the way up through, when their kids are in the older grades. Maybe they'll be like, oh, yeah, I saw you. I see you at T-ball. And now
Yes.
they're seeing them at, softball, baseball in the older years. So that's super helpful
Yep.
and awesome.
With the baby classes, are those offered year-round, or is it only seasonal? Or
Yeah, so a lot of the stuff I'm talking about is during the school year. We do offer 2 sessions of ECFE in the summer. They are 1-week sessions, and we are going to be highlighting a lot of our summer and community ed coming up. So I'm super happy you brought that up, Zach, because we have a 1 week in June. So there's only one baby class at that time, but it's a great time for working families if that's the only time that works, or if they just want to meet another caregiver in that summertime. And then there's one right before school starts in August, so another week session. And so all those classes will go live also next week for summer ECFE. There are unfortunately no preschool classes when we talk about summer for early childhood, but families right now can register. Registration opened up last week and we have lots of openings, but I would recommend doing that sooner rather than later because classes are already on a wait list. But I just want families to know that please fill out an application because if we got a wait list that was huge and long for a class, we could potentially open it up. We just need to know that that need is out there.
That's good to know. That was my next question is about a wait list. Yeah, because they do fill up fast. They are popular. And but it's nice to know that if that might be an option depending on the wait list length. And
Correct. And a lot of times when we're on a wait list, we recommend registering for another class and they can do that. They would only get charged one registration fee and no change fees. But then like if something were to open up, then we can change them to their first choice. But if something didn't open up by September, they would still have a spot because it is only it is April now.
Yeah,
It's April.
yeah, it's April.
It looks outside. You can't see it, but it is winter.
yeah.
It is April, but we are going to be filled up by the beginning of the school year. I can say that. Will we have a couple spots in a class, of course, but the class that maybe works best for families might not probably be open. That was very confusing. I just want everyone to know, like, right now to be this full is great, but it's also hard if people still want classes coming this fall because it probably will be filled up.
Right.
So,
And people probably aren't thinking that right now.
no, especially new time. I always tell that because the newness of these things that we don't know yet as parents, you have to think about next year with sports, all this stuff. Preschool is one of those things, and they fill up. Just like daycare, home daycare, our spots are hot commodities. Kayla's going to talk about registration windows for Tiger Club, and those, when they fill up, you got to know when they open because they will fill up.
And where can everyone find the waiting lists or learn more?
Yeah, so it's on our LEO page, the same that Community Ed goes through. So it's isd.eleyo.com. Am I saying it right, Kayla?
So.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. I think I said that.
I think you did.
It's on our main webpage too on isd.org, and you can find it on our district Facebook page and our Princeton Early Childhood page. But the preschool page is right on there, and I'd love to chat with anyone who is talking, has any questions about anything, but also if they have any financial concerns or barriers, because like I said, we will turn no one away. We just need to offer ways to get there. So we ask families to fill out scholarship applications. We need your help those families' help to do it, but we will help them mail it, upload it, to do anything to get them that access.
Perfect. I'll add the links to the sites as well in the description. But real quick, could you jump into a little bit about what the scholarships look like on how a parent could apply, and if there's multiple, and maybe what they would look like?
Yeah, great question. It's very complicated for a new family member too, because we will tell you there's one you can do right away, and it's through the county, and it's all online now. It used to be paper copies. I bet, Mary, maybe back when you were with community ed, everything used to be paper, and now it's online. And that is great for families that have that access. If they don't have access, just reach out, and we will help get them there. So the first one would be a county scholarship, and they can do that anytime. Nice. So if they have a child that's not yet 3, they have to wait till that child is closer to turning 3 to fill that out. But right now, and whenever they fill it out, even if they aren't, if they're listening to this and haven't even filled out a preschool contract with us, they could fill out this scholarship application. Right. So we'll have that linked in there. That's completely online. And then after July 1st, that's the start of the fiscal year for the school year. We have a free and reduced application so it used to really be focused on lunch, right? But then lunch in the district and the schools in Minnesota became free. So now they're really trying to focus the application on free and reduced benefits, educational benefits. And so there's a form that they still have to fill out. A lot of families, why I phrase it is a lot of families are like, well, why do I have to fill it out? It's, we're getting lunch for free. But that actually helps us determine how many families in our, our demographics in our population would qualify for it, which is tied to a lot of funding, not just funding in early childhood. A lot of it is with early childhood, but a lot of it's for the whole district. So I'm just going to advocate everyone fill that application out. K-12 also. But that family that's looking for scholarships, so we'd look at that. If they would qualify for a free and reduced lunch, we would discount their tuition automatically through us, and then we'd give them another one, which would be a paper application, and it's through the state. And it's called Pathway 2, but we don't need to get into that because I'll help those families. But just know after July 1st, there's 2 other ways we can get scholarships.
Okay.
Yeah,
perfect.
And by filling out that free and reduced form, I just want to say this for all listeners, is that it could help if you qualify for activities as well.
Shout out. Great. Yeah. It just helps so many things. And that's why they're really trying to focus it now on benefits, because it's not just, it sounded way back when we paid for lunch that it was just for lunch, but now it's access to all benefits.
Yep. Yep. You can get half off of, sports activities or lots of different things. So,
and it does help the district too for funding purposes.
Correct.
Yeah. Because they base a lot of the funding off that percentage. What about a child that might need additional services?
Yay! This is one of my favorite parts about my job is we are an all-inclusive preschool, which means that half of our program is helping students that might need extra support in areas. So part of helping families get access or to find out where those families are is to go through an early childhood screening. So an early childhood screening is just a check-in for any child over the age of 3. If you have a child under the age of 3 and you have concerns, we're going to get you connected through Help Me Grow. And anyone can put a referral in through Help Me Grow. A parent, if you are a daycare provider, so if you send your child to a daycare, they could put this referral in. Doctors put a lot of referrals in too, because maybe you bring your child in for a wellness exam and they're noticing some concerns. They're going to hopefully they're telling those families, of course, that, hey, I think we should put in a referral in. And so that's called Help Me Grow. And for under the age of 3, they're going to get that family connected with somebody from the school, and they are going to screen at their house for maybe they need extra services or extra support, and that's through their home. After the age of 3, though, we invite them into our building, and it's just so all families, not just kiddos that have concerns. We just want to do a check-in with them. So, and so the screening, what that looks like is we're going to check medically, non-invasive, just checking their eyes, checking their hearing, checking to see, have they gone to the dentist? Have they done their wellness exams? Just a quick chat about that. And usually that's done by the county nurse, which they donate their time. So thank you, Mille Lacs County. And then after that, they're going to play some games with a teacher. And what that looks like is they're going to do some block building activities. They're going to use a pencil and see if they're able to do basic, like make a line. I can't give all of it away, but it's just basic, think letter making, seeing if they're holding that pencil correctly, those types of things. We're going to do some literacy activities, some math activities. And this is not an IQ test. I'm going to say that again.
Yeah.
Mary over here used to do screening. It is not an IQ test. So families that like get really worked up about this, if your child is doing all the things that you're helping them with, you're practicing colors at home, playing games with them, reading to them, they are going to do just fine. Again, it's not to see how smart they are, because we know your kiddo's smart. It's to help those families that maybe they don't know their child should know more words at this stage, or maybe there's other things going on. It's just to help get those kiddos that maybe aren't quite there to see if we can get them extra help. A lot of times it's speech, right? So maybe at a certain age, we should know these sounds. They're not making those sounds. What that's going to look like if they get a referral or a rescreen, we're going to just connect them with somebody from our site and maybe do another check-in. And again, we're going to talk to that parent and see what they have to say. That parent is that first teacher. We're going to listen to them. Do they have concerns? Are they saying the same things at home? That type of stuff. And then we'll go from there. Maybe it's more assessments. Maybe it could be a lot of things. But
Are you still doing the ASQSE?
Yep, so we do the ASQSE for social emotional, and now it's the updated one. It's the ASQSE2. Lots of acronyms here. And so thank you, Mary, for pointing that out. That parent is filling out this paperwork. So it's similar when you go to the wellness exam, and it's just checking how are they doing at home. Do they are they really busy? Do they talk too much to strangers? And you'll fill that out, and we'll show you how to fill that out if families have questions. So the parent feedback is a huge part of that. But if, like, for example, if you got a referral on any of those areas, it's not an evaluation at that point. It's not a diagnosis. It's just another check-in, another step that we would make sure that how can we help this family? And so what that could look like is maybe they are doing an evaluation, which would mean maybe more testing or assessing, like I said. And if they were to qualify for something, so that could look like maybe they need extra help with reading, learning those letters. Maybe it's speech. Then what that could look like is they're going to get to come to preschool, and it's probably going to be covered under what is called an individualized educational plan, and that would be communicated after that where it all happened. And families would be explained all this before you were ever we would never do anything without explaining that process to you. But what that could look like is coming to preschool at no extra charge. So why I say this is my favorite part of the job is we get to help so many kiddos come to preschool. So a lot of our classes are co-taught right now. And so we have a early childhood special ed teacher in the classroom, along with a school readiness, or when you think of general ed teacher, they're in the same room. So I wouldn't say half and half, but some of the kiddos are on an IEP, and then some of the kiddos are not on an IEP, and they're all learning from each other. So we have, kiddos that are just all learning from each other. And if you came into the classroom, you probably wouldn't know who is who. And that's the way it should be.
Yep, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
And the other thing, too, is from a parent perspective, it is kind of scary when you, one of my kids was given extra services for reading. And as a parent, you panic. Like, oh my gosh, my kid's never going to read, And I just remember Michelle Hagan, well, she's not Hagan anymore, but saying, Kim, it's going to click. It's just going to click. All of a sudden, it's going to click. And it did. And, and he's very successful, and he's doing well in college. But I just want to really emphasize to parents, too, that the screening and all the things that are being done, like you said, it's not an IQ test. And it's really to help your child. I mean, that extra reading help that Caleb got was the ticket for him.
Yeah, and early intervention is really where it's at. So that's why, again, I'm going to bring back early childhood screening is not kindergarten screening. I didn't say that earlier. I just wanted to say that because a lot of people, that's usually what it was called, to do it right before they go to kindergarten.
Right.
The state says that a child that goes to kindergarten needs to be screened within 30 days, or before they are going there. But really the purpose of it is by the age of 3. So then we can help those families get services. If people and families have concerns after they already got screened at 3, like let's pretend now the child's 4 and they have speech concerns, come back in.
Right.
They don't have to do a whole screening, but so that's another, sometimes parents are like, well, what if, you want to make sure we're checking, and they don't have to do it again. They only have to do it once. So 3.5 is the best time. They used to say like 4.5, but the earlier we can help families, like if it was speech or if it was, so a lot of times if your child needed extra services, it could be, again, this would be through an evaluation, not just through the screening, but they could be identified under a developmental delay, which is so great that the state and special ed has that because it helps catch those kiddos, and it's only able to diagnose them until the age of 7. So they can get all those services. And by that time, they're probably in first grade. So they're already, hopefully 10 steps, a million steps ahead.
Right.
That's a lot of
Or
times we see.
even at, a million steps ahead, which gets them on track for
Yes.
where they're supposed to be at that age. Yeah.
And some kiddos, as you know, they might not maybe be ahead, but having that early intervention is giving them that boost in whatever it is. There's so many cases on why children need IEPs. I just want people to know that it is such a good thing when we know what that your child needs.
Exactly.
And you're going to have that support. And so having that support, whether it's through ECFE or coming to the school in other capacities, is such a great thing.
It is a great thing, even though it feels scary
Very
as a
much,
parent.
yes.
There's a lot of support there, and it's really good.
And our team really does such a great job. I'm at a lot of IEP meetings, and it can be very emotional. Like you said, thinking that what's going on with my child, how and feeling like you can't. Why I'm trying to help them. Why can't they do it? So our team does such an amazing job helping families get their questions answered and then helping them go through those emotions.
Yeah, because it is an emotional time. Can be. Yeah. For sure. Go ahead, Zach.
No, I was just going to say this would be a good time for a break.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
That sounds good.
We all know that life happens. Whether you're planning for the future or facing a tough legal situation or just needed some trusted guidance, Barry Law Offices is here to help. Located right here in Princeton, Barry Law Offices specializes in estate planning, business law, real estate, and more, providing expert service with a personal touch. Learn more by visiting Barry Law Offices at barrylawoffices.com.
All right, now that we've talked a lot about the ECFE and preschool, which is awesome, that was so informative to parents out there. Now let's jump into the piece that kind of works with preschool, and that is Tiger Club, and that will be Kayla. So why don't you start off with what your role is at Community Education?
Yeah, so my role is the community ed coordinator. So I oversee our Tiger Club childcare program for preschool and school age. And then I also oversee our recreation and enrichment programming for birth through adults. So for Tiger Club specifically, like I said, we offer preschool level. It's a wraparound care for hand-in-hand families, which is really helpful because we're able to provide those families, like she was talking about the wait list earlier. If maybe they can't get into an all-day, everyday class, maybe it's a 4-day class, and they're like, well, what do we do on Fridays? Well, Tiger Club's a great option. Then you could sign up for a full day of Tiger Club. Or some people might not be able to pick their kid up or have someone at home. So then they can come right after the school day or before, and then they can create a full schedule that way too. One thing that's really nice too is we're complemented. Stephanie didn't mention this, but we are a parent aware program for 4 stars. And so we really collaborate together and work with the teachers in the preschool rooms, especially on things like if there's maybe some behaviors that are happening, how can we help support? Have the teachers noticed this, or is this specific to our program because we're a little bit more free-spirited? We're more focused on the play aspect of those social and emotional and learning how to share and learning how to grow and be creative with building and things like that. It's not as academic as a focus, but we're really complementing each other on that.
And can I add to that? So our whole program is 4-star rated. Yep. So not just the Tiger Club, so all preschool classes, which is a process to make sure you have that assessment piece, you have curriculum, and you have licensed staff. So thanks for that shout out. And another thing with Kayla, another shout out for Kayla for mentioning this is you can embed Tiger Club, and that could be all day, every day. So again, thinking that maybe they just want 2 half-day preschool, they could make that into that 5-day using Tiger Club. And another thing is we said 3-year-olds weren't eligible for more than the 2 all-day class. You could come all day, every day using Tiger Club. So, yeah. Thank you, Kayla.
Yeah. So for those of you listeners that don't know what Tiger Club is, I know that it's so much more than this, but it's like a daycare. And it's at the same facility as the preschool classes. So Correct. It gives the option to send your kids to the family center all day, Monday through Friday. Or, you can talk a little bit about that. But I think some people are like, well, what is Tiger Club? Yeah, and it's so that care.
Yep. So it's the child care aspect of complementing a preschool schedule. The nice thing about Tiger Club, and this is where we fluctuate with numbers greatly. Some years we have a ton of kids come into the preschool Tiger Club, and some we don't have a lot of years, or we build up depending on their age and if they get added to preschool classes. But the nice thing about being in Tiger Club is that they have the similar structure. We have them line up and wash hands and then go to the lunchroom and practice the lunchroom routine and getting their trays and all of that. So they're starting to instill, or we're starting to instill more of those program in kindergarten readiness and all of that in those kiddos too. And daycares do that as well, but then you're just learning the ins and outs of, if you're going to Princeton public schools, especially in kindergarten, you kind of get to understand the feel and the flow of everything. And the daycare drop off for us is very similar. It's the same drop off door as it is for preschool. So there's a lot of ins and outs, and they get to meet the staff. And like Stephanie was talking about, you get to meet new people. You get to have some of those teachers. And then at the school age aspect too, once those kids graduate and go into middle school and stuff, a lot of times they want to come back in a couple of years and volunteer, and we get people that return to work. And we have people at the high school who come over during their last hour and they help out. And so it's just really fun to collaborate and just see the program and how it interconnects with everything. And I don't think people always realize that. And
Can I add the hours?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So let's pretend a family member couldn't drop off because our drop-offs are in these windows. So Kayla mentioned, add Tiger Club. So it's
Right.
from 6 a.m. to 5:30.
Okay.
So that really what the drive for pre-K Tiger Club is, those families that can't get to the busing times of that or the pickup drop-off times. Did you want to share the morning and afternoon for school age?
Yeah. And so that's the same thing. It's before school from 6 a.m. to the start of the school day for our primary and intermediate. And then we also have right after school till 6 o'clock. So it's an extra half an hour at the school age level.
And for clarification, I think I'm hearing this right. You guys share the same building.
Correct. Yep. So we have
For
our
preschool.
own
For
room.
preschool.
Yeah.
Not
Yes.
school, yes.
Okay, so clarification, preschool and Tiger Club.
Yeah, so
Same
preschool Tiger Club is in the Family Center building with our hand-in-hand preschool class. So we have just our own little room, but we're all in one building. And then our school-age care program is at the primary school. So we have it directly on the sites that the kids go to school.
And for those for preschool and preschool Tiger Club, they can be transported by the bus, correct? So even on the non-preschool days, they can.
Correct. So they can, so just a clarification on that is because we've had some families get confused. They can ride it when Family Center is in session. So if Family Center, the busing is coming there anyway, they can come to Tiger Club on the bus. The problem is those days that maybe we have conferences and the bus isn't supposed to be stopping here, but the district still has busing. We've had that problem where they were like, well, I think the kiddo's on the bus and we just don't have our main support staff out there that typically get them off the bus. Our Tiger Club staff got that friend off the bus. It's just we don't advertise that. So we can't, we traditionally don't offer that on those days. But any kiddo can ride the bus
For the most part. Okay.
Most days.
Which is super nice. And, I just want to offer, the daycares out there that we have in Princeton are amazing. And I know that you guys support them and do story times and stuff there. But, even if they wanted to stay with a home daycare that they're in, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then if they're doing a preschool on Tuesday and Thursday, they can stay the whole day for Tuesday and Thursday.
If they wanted to sign up for
it's just the options are.
And that's the one thing, especially for childcare, just as a whole. We all know it's expensive. It's hard to get into and find care, and that's why people try to figure out working from home or staying at home as a parent or what it's going to be.
And care you trust.
Yes,
know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. And again, as a new mom, it's scary to put your trust in people you don't know and send them off to a daycare. So we really just tried to offer as much flexibility as possible for that. And really our biggest hold up for the preschool level especially is the potty training, and that's just because it's a state thing and we have to stay in ratio and we have to do all of these different things. So it's more we're trying to we have to do these requirements for the state.
Of course,
and so we don't want to hinder families, and we'll try to work with families if they're really close to it. But that's kind of the biggest hiccup for us, whereas daycare centers or childcare centers out in the community and stuff, they do usually help and support with that kind of role too. But that's just something that we really try to dive into, focusing more on how we can support hand in hand with the other activities that they're learning and things like that too.
And they embed the same rules that
Yeah.
usually hand in hand, same visuals.
Yes.
Like she talked about the same lunchroom, same playground. So they feel like it's just another classroom there.
Right.
And I just wanted to highlight one word to go off of you, Kayla, was that's why people love Tiger Club, is because there's no midday busing. So if you're in a half day class, a caregiver or a parent does need to pick up at that, so for example, in that half day morning, they need to come pick up in that half day, like right at 10:45, they need to pick up. And if they're coming in the afternoon, they need to drop off at 12:15. There's no busing those ways. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
that's why people love Tiger Club for so many reasons, but then they could go there to make it a full day. Thank you.
You know, and you mentioned lunch too. Curious, have the milk cartons gotten easier to open over the years?
Nope, I have to
That's
go
amazing.
there when we're short staffed sometimes, and those kids struggle with their milk
Oh
cartons.
my gosh!
It is tricky. I mean, it is tricky now. Okay.
I mean, unreal.
still can't.
It's 2025. Let's go.
But it is such a great thing by having your kiddo go there, whether it's in all day, in Tiger Club or at preschool, to practice that skill before they're even at kindergarten. That self-advocacy because, we have them attempt to try, obviously, maybe not that first day, we're having them all open their milks, but by the end, when they're going to transition into kindergarten, they are opening up those milks. And if they can't and they need help, they're learning how to raise their hands.
Right.
That is such a good, I'm so glad you brought that up, because it's all these things that parents don't think about. They send their kid to kindergarten,
worst.
and then, if they haven't had any pre-exposure, they just sit there and they probably don't ask for help, or so then they don't drink anything all day.
For adults to open the milk carton.
I couldn't even open, we got a new microphone today. I was
raise
like,
your
you can't
hand.
open this box.
Yeah, whoops, I didn't see you raise your hand because I can't open it either.
All of us admit.
Yes.
Yes.
With what are some of the options over summer with Tiger Club?
So Tiger Club in the summer is a lot more flexible because we have staff. Staff want to come. I get emails and phone calls every day for the last 2 weeks, just asking if we're hiring and things like that. So the nice thing is we're not restricted with facilities in the summer. So we have the entire primary school building, which is where both our preschool and our school age Tiger Club will be this summer. And we're going to be there for the full year, which is or for the full summer, which is exciting too. Generally, we'll have to transition buildings midsummer due to cleaning, but that was a big thing that I really tried to push for, is just to stay in the same building for that consistency piece, especially for the younger kiddos. Right. So we have a lot of awesome things. We do weekly themed weeks where maybe we do like Star Spangled Banner week for the 4th of July, or we'll do a camping week, or we'll do, we always do bike weeks. We do several of those because that's always a big hit. So we always do really fun activities like that, but then we also do field trip days. And again, going back to just being flexible, our schedule in the summer is a pick your day schedule. So you can sign up for one day, you can sign up for every day. We can sign up for just field trip days if you want. Again, we really try to allow for that flexibility, because there's some days where people are like, I don't really need care for the summer because I have the flexibility in my job, or maybe I'm a teacher and I don't work every day, but it might be nice just to have that drop-in care every once in a while.
And the field trips are awesome.
Yes.
I mean, it's
So,
Tiger
yeah.
Club in the summer is so fun.
It's fun.
My
Yeah.
kids always
Everybody
did it
loves
at
it.
least
Yeah.
a couple days because they have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 questions
Yeah.
would be the time frames in the summer.
It's 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay.
Yep.
And then also the age ranges.
So it's the same thing. It's ages 3 through entering 6th grade. So people who are current 5th graders. And the age for summer, one thing, again, because we have the flexibility, they don't have to be in hand preschool to attend our school, our summer program for preschool, because we just have a lot more flexibility again with the staffing and the space. We encourage, again, those hand-in-hand families to sign up, even if it's just for a handful of days or maybe once a week, to kind of get into that habit before they start preschool in the fall, because then they can say, oh, Miss Susan or Miss Jill, like, I recognize you. And then it makes that transition a little bit easier for the fall too. So even though they're in a different building, they start to build up those routines with the lunch lines and all of that stuff too.
And that would be a separate sign up and a separate list to get the summertime.
Yep, correct. So we have 2 different registrations. One is for summer and then one is for the school year, and both are open. So we have the summer 2025 is already open. We still have availability, but that's something, like, again, we encourage you to sign up sooner rather than later. We always get those last minute people, but it just makes personally my job a little bit easier, because then we know how much we have to do for staffing and hiring, and that's a long process, especially when we have a new superintendent now that HR is focusing on. So we're trying to make it easier for HR's job too, to get the ball rolling on summer stuff too. But yeah, so and then school year, we opened that registration up. For preschool, we don't necessarily accept the contract straight away, because we want them to finalize like their preschool schedule, but they're more or less, if they're in hand, they're guaranteed a spot. So again, we recommend you get on our enrollments, just so we know that you're here and we can collaborate with the early childhood team on that. School age care, that fills up a lot quicker, because we are restricted to what spaces we're able to use after school. So we try our absolute best to get everybody off those wait lists. I think right now for this school year, I think we dwindled it down to less than 10 families, or 10 kids on the wait list, which is amazing, because there's a lot of schools who have hundreds of kids on wait lists. So big need. Personally, I'm really proud of our team and our staff to be able to accommodate that many families. But we always try our absolute best to get kids off the wait list. And if we can't, we do refer them to the local daycare centers and say, hey, maybe they have options, because we're all one team. We're all looking out for the students, and we all want to try to help support families and their childcare needs. So I do refer them to the local daycares and say, I don't know if they have availability, but definitely check them out too.
Yep. That's awesome. I was just going to say that it would be a good time to move into like the recreation, because, and I'll let you answer this, but about maybe getting kids to those activities that they sign up for recreation, then they're during Tiger Club or whatever, if you want to kind of talk about that, if that still is available.
Yeah. Yep. So one unique thing to the summer program for Tiger Club is that we offer van transportation. So the kids who sign up for Sandlot baseball, and that's at the middle school fields, or we have maybe basketball or volleyball or whatever at the high school, then we have a staff member who gets their van training done, and then they can transport kids. And that's available on every day of Tiger Club, from Monday through Thursday from 8 to 3, except for field trip days. So that's the only time we don't, because we need all of our staff on our field trip days.
But that's amazing. People, I run some programs through you for volleyball, and if through my youth camp, and it used to be parents saying, well, you do it during the day. I can't, we're working, or so it's so nice that those that are in Tiger Club. It's like, well, no, they'll transport them.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is a cost to us, but it's something that we've pulled numbers, and even last year we had over 50 kids utilize it, and that was probably about a quarter, maybe a fifth of our students in Tiger Club utilizing this service, which is super awesome. And it's not something I've been in several school districts, and people are like, this is unheard of. You can't do that. And they try to figure out how programming can come to them versus us. So we try to, again, be flexible as much as possible and provide those transportation opportunities. The only thing about that is it can only be to community ed specific programs. So, for example, if a kid is in hockey, we don't have a partnership with the Hockey Association on camps. And so we can't transport them to hockey. And that's something where we encourage businesses who do offer summer programming to partner with us because, again, we're all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
We're all trying to partner and collaborate and just give opportunities to families in the summer.
Just
as
make it
much as
easier.
possible. So we want to be able to partner with people so that we can help with those transportation needs.
So why don't we talk about your role in the recreation? And I know that there's a lot of things coming up for summer, and registration is open. And go ahead and tell the world what people should be signing up for and all the opportunities.
Yeah, so registration actually opens on April 8th at 8 a.m. It's a Tuesday. So mark your calendars. People have already set their alarms.
Yep.
Oh, yes, because the catalogs are out. Okay.
Yep, so this is our nice catalog right here. But yeah, so registration hasn't opened up yet, but everyone should have the copy of the catalog from it went out in the mailboxes a couple weeks ago.
Oh, you guys are so on it.
And then we pass them out to local businesses too. But yeah, for recreation stuff, we have everything. One thing that I've been in this role for 3 years now, and we're really recreation focused, and we've had the similar program like volleyball and basketball, like all the coaches, they've had their programs forever. But there was a lot of stuff where it's like, well, where's our stuff for the tots and the preschoolers and the toddlers, and can we offer more options for middle schoolers other than just kind of our standard things? So that's where, and because ECFE doesn't run a ton of stuff in the summer, that's where we're like, okay, well, how can we give those families more stuff? So we've partnered with Dash Sports, which is a vendor who we started using this school year, and I've actually worked with the owner in prior jobs too, and they do a great job. So we are offering a ton of different camps for the younger kids. I believe it's ages 3 and up for the summer. And they multi-sport camps get your kids interested in trying to figure out what sports they like, maybe before committing to doing like a whole volleyball camp that's 6 weeks long, or a soccer camp or something. So doing stuff like that. We've got track and field. We've got tennis for younger kids. So we're really trying to broaden people's interests and trying to step outside of your comfort zone. Like maybe you as a parent specifically want your kid to play basketball. That's great. Give them the opportunity. But maybe let's try some other sports too. Maybe
Any martial arts?
we do karate.
Hey.
We do partner with the Elk River studio here.
Perfect.
So we've got that. And that starts, I believe, at age 4. But yeah, so it's like we really try to broaden those skills because not everyone's a sport or a team-oriented person. Maybe they like more of the individual swimming, or maybe they like the track and field, or maybe they liked the martial arts. So we really try to tailor and get instructors for as many things as we can. So that was a big focus, was trying to get those younger kids, but then we also our middle school and even elementary. We've got some lacrosse, we've got some pickleball, we've got a girls flag football.
That's awesome.
We have a lot of fun things so we really encourage people to just try something new this summer. We know it economically it can be hard, but we're again looking at the kids and their best interests, and especially at that older elementary and middle school, like you don't quite know what you want to do and what you like. Like maybe you know for sure, I'm not going to be going to the association, playing travel leagues and doing things like that. But maybe you're like, but I want to stay fit. Like what can I do recreationally? And so we offer those kinds of camps, or even skills camps, just to brush up on your skills to get ready for your seasons and things like that too.
Yeah, or like for me, it was I think all 3 of my kids played soccer. And it was so great because it's somewhere where you can take them where they can run.
Yeah,
and
sometimes just burn off the
like,
energy.
Yes, burn off
We do
the
have our
energy.
Junior Tiger soccer again.
Yes.
That was actually a big request, and that's been a lot of transitions because we lost our coach a couple of years ago. I actually, when I was 6 months pregnant last year, I was running on the fields coaching. I was like, I don't feel very good, but we're going to do this because we just couldn't find people. But we're really working on building out that program again, and we actually are offering a 4-week program versus a 3-week program.
And shout out to coaches too, and if you guys are looking for help and instructors for these sports.
Always reach out to our community ed office if you're interested. If you have a skill, whether it's recreation or enrichment based, we're always looking for instructors. And
ideas. I mean, if you want to come forward with you guys with an idea to you guys, something maybe that hasn't been thought of or a skill.
Such a great thing to bring up, Kim, because we get so many. Why don't you offer this?
That's right.
Well, we didn't know about it until now.
Yep. It's true.
And we want to.
Yeah.
We
Right.
just need help sometimes because Kayla and I are always like, let's do it. But then we can't always do it all.
No.
And then not only that, sometimes we were like, I don't know how.
That's right. Exactly.
I still haven't gotten Stephanie to teach for me.
Yeah.
Directly through you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cybersecurity.
Cybersecurity.
All eyes on me.
You'd be so good, though.
It'd be such a great
This is
example.
what not to do.
It'd be a speaking from experience.
Yeah. No.
Well,
I feel like everyone's had some level of
Oh, yes,
security
for
issue
sure.
for online. Like,
Yep, exactly.
let's be honest.
Yes. Okay. So what about like adults and enrichment and all that kind of good stuff?
I'll continue
Sourdough
just with
classes.
We'll do the youth enrichment quick, and then I'll talk about adults. So youth enrichment, again, that was something that really lacked when I started here, and that's what I really pushed for the last couple of years. And we've been really fortunate to.
And when you
add-
say enrichment, can you
this really encompasses anything that's not recreation. So think of your STEM classes, your art classes, your maybe we don't have language, well, language class, anything that just has to do
Crafting
with crafting.
or-
Exactly. So there's a lot that encompasses enrichment itself. Even like driver's ed, technically, we put under the enrichment category. Last night we had a basic automotive, like basic maintenance on your car.
Oh, yeah.
class.
I saw that.
awesome.
So like things like that, like just kind of your life skills. A lot of those classes encompass under this too.
Do you still have the babysitting class?
Yes. Yep. So
Which is I used to be really popular.
and it still is. Yeah. So we have like babysitting and like a home staying at home, home alone.
yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot what it's called.
Oh yeah.
So those really are really popular because it gets kids prepared, especially again as they transition out of Tiger Club in that middle school. Are parents comfortable leaving their kid at home alone as a middle schooler? If not, we have these different kinds of classes for safety and things like that too to help with those transitions. But we do that. We've got different things like sewing. We've partnered with Bopa here in town, and she's going to be offering a couple of sewing classes at the youth level and adult level.
Oh, that's awesome.
So just different fun skills that we really encourage people to try out. Again, try something new. Even if you're a sports focused person, look through the enrichment pages of the catalog and see if something might spark your interest.
What's interesting about Bopa's class is I was talking to her about it amongst a bunch of other people, and she had said that for the adult class, she's going to encourage people to bring their own sewing machine so they can learn how to, thread it or whatever it is that you do. And everyone in the group was like, yeah, I have a machine that my mom gave me or my grandma. I mean, everybody like has a sewing machine that's in a
don't know how to
closet.
use it, yeah.
I
That's
have a
having
sewing
used.
machine. I shouldn't say I do. My wife does.
Do you use it?
No, it sits in a garage. But like,
So I said, I
Sign
am
Brittany
definitely taking your class, Bopa, because I mean, why not?
I know. Well, and you can learn basic stuff like how to sew a button on a coat. Like,
Yes.
I could figure it out, and I kind of remember, but
Yeah.
that was in facts class in 7th grade,
Right.
which is a little.
I just thought
lifetime
that's so
ago.
funny that everybody has a sewing machine in a closet. So bring it out and bring it to
Yep,
community
exactly.
ed.
So we just have a lot of cool things for enrichment that. Again, we've partnered with a lot of local vendors and stuff. We had Amarita Arts, or More Arts, and she has been doing stuff this whole school year, and now she's doing classes in the summer for us. And we've, again, really expanded classes for those young kids. I believe our youngest age is like one and a half, I think, for some of our art classes through pretty much middle school, high school. So it just kind of depends on who's interested in taking those things too.
with the enrichment classes, if you were just a ballpark, like how many classes do you think you have on average? I know they vary, but like, just
So
as, like, for
I
a
guess
number.
I don't know the breakdown of enrichment versus recreation, but total
Yeah.
for the summer we have over 300 camps and class
So
sections.
Oh
I just-
my gosh.
Yeah, I wanted to like,
We're busy.
I want people to understand how many classes and the magnitude of it. of it.
Yep. So if anyone wants to, it gets bored, just go through our catalog and count how many classes
Right.
and
Yeah.
sections. And
So like the stuff that we're talking about and touching on, these are only like, we're just breaking the top layer.
Yes.
Like this is there's so
There's
much
so
more. There's so
much.
much more to offer and learn about. So we encourage you guys to check out the website. And
absolutely.
if you have this in your mailbox or on your counter, please take a look at the packet too. Like there's so many things in there.
Yep, exactly. And we have our family things like our Down on the Farm series, where we partnered with local farms, and we bring last 2 summers, I believe now, we've brought families out there.
Cool.
And they go out there and they have a lunch and they learn about what each of these farms do. And new this year is we've gotten some interest from just, seniors or people who are just looking for stuff to do. So we actually opened it up for community members this year, because we encourage everybody to go. Like, there's so many farms out there that
Yep.
you have no idea that they exist. And it's like, that is really cool what you do. So we just have cool things like that we're trying to expand and, again, offer to various ages too.
Yeah. With staffing, I can't imagine also running all these classes. Like, what does staffing look like for you guys for Tiger Club? Like, how many people, like...
Well, so for Tiger Club, we usually have, I would say, probably 10 to 15 staff in the morning and afternoon shifts, just depending on how many people. So that's one side of staffing. And then our recreation and enrichment programming, we have 100 plus probably instructors out of everything.
Right.
We don't necessarily work with everyone, but like Mary, for example, like she's our person to talk to about volleyball, but then she's got her assistants that help out and stuff too. So we have a lot of people, and that's where I'm fortunate because we are actually a fully staffed team now in our office. And so we have one person helping Jackie with our enrichment programming, and so she focuses on the day-to-day communications with those instructors, and then we have Ryan who helps with the recreation side of day-to-day communications. And that's taken a lot off my plate to really focus on the bigger picture of what are we missing, how can we collaborate with more businesses, and really just work together to offer more things.
And talking about collaborating with businesses, what does collaboration look like sometimes? Some examples, and then how can a business in town collaborate or start that process with you guys?
So a lot of it is sometimes through the chamber. We've gotten some different people because we have our director, Brian, who comes to the networking meetings and things generally. So if I get the new chamber newsletter, so the beta to be fit or
Better Be Fit?
thank you.
Yep.
I was like, I didn't quite remember the
Yep.
name, but like I saw she was presenting, and I was like, Brian, I need you to connect with her about classes because we need more classes. So some of it's just connecting and saying, okay, what newsletters or local things that can we connect on? Sometimes, like just our local staff in the district, they know, like maybe Stephanie knows someone who'd be a really good teacher, and so I'll go to her and be like, hey, Stephanie, I'm looking for this kind of class. Do you know somebody? So it's just a lot of it's networking
And all who you know kind of thing.
Exactly.
For
Also,
sure.
it's like, what does that business want? Do they just want their name out there? Do they want advertising? Because we offer that in our catalog. For example, on Friday, I'm doing a story time. We just used to partner with the library. Shout out to the library. It's awesome. But now I'm going to some different businesses in town. So I'm at Fairway Shores on Friday in Zimmerman. Next month, I'm at Marv's.
Yep.
So it's just those, like, do they want to do something like a class, or are they just maybe wanting their business focused in some way, or are they advertising?
Yeah.
Exactly. And we've got businesses that do want to teach classes, like Pizza Barn, for example. Last year, and Stephanie's daughter took it, actually. But we have a pizza making class, and that was a huge success. And Jody was awesome, and they were able to just connect and learn how to make a pizza and take it home. And they got a tour of their facilities. And so those are the different things. And I believe that came through, again, a chamber presentation, because I had talked to Jody about something else, and I was like, hey, by the way, do you want to teach pizza classes with me?
Yeah.
So a lot of it's just trying to network and show them the positives. Like, we want to collaborate. Like, Princeton's all about collaboration and building up the community, and that's what community ed does. We want to partner together on with businesses, and like Stephanie said, whether it's teaching classes with us, whether it's advertising, we have sponsorship opportunities all the time too. If maybe you want your logo on the back of a t-shirt, or maybe you want to help us offer a reduced rate on a class, which is super helpful too, because again, vendors, we love vendors, but they have businesses to run, so they have a lot of expenses. So if you look through the catalog, you might see, well, why is this camp like $21 an hour, but this one's only $10 an hour? It's like, well, because the vendor needs more to cover their costs too. So they can help just, even if they want to give us a donation or they can do a sponsorship. And then they just contact our office. They can contact me. They can just pop in and say, hey, I'm interested in collaborating. What do you got for us?
Yeah. Awesome.
Wow, you guys do a whole lot. I mean, we had Brian Julison on, I don't know how many months ago, just to do an overall about everything offered there, and this was so much more in depth too. So I think it was really helpful for community members to be able to hear the process and things that they can look out for, and to start registering early for everything. The other thing about community ed that I want to point out, and for classes, during the summer or whenever, it's important to register early, because a lot of times if it appears to you at community ed that there's not going to be a lot of people signed up, the class might get canceled.
Absolutely.
So, and then all of a sudden people want it. So it's important to register as early as possible.
Yeah, register early, and we'd also recommend, even if a class has a wait list, put yourself on that wait list, because a lot of times, especially swimming, for example, that's a class that fills up right at 8 o'clock on day of, because
8:01.
to be fair, 1 minute. But that's something that oftentimes just depending on what classes go and which ones get canceled within the different swim lessons, we might be able to add more individual swim lessons.
Right.
Right. More data. You can look like, hey, we could almost have 2 of these.
Yep. So just add yourself to wait lists, and we do our best to try to add instructors, find more facilities. Again, especially in the summer, we have a little bit more flexibility with those kinds of things.
Right.
Well, you guys, community ed is just growing and growing and growing, and I love seeing you guys out in the community. I'll see Stephanie pulling her little tote around town. I'm like, oh, she's off to read.
library.
Yep, to the
she's
library.
off to read.
I know some
stories.
of these ones, if the business is too far away, can't walk there.
Yeah.
You're not
but
going to walk
thank
to
you.
Zimmerman.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I notice you out and around, especially in the summer, but or on the nicer days. But it's nice to see all of you guys out in the community, so people can get to know you, and that's so important. And you guys are doing a great job. I feel that community ed is just, like I said, growing.
Yeah, we have an awesome team. And shout out to, Kayla talked about the 2 members that help her out. Also, Christy Kaiser, who is the community ed secretary now. And then who helps me out a lot is Jessie Cole, the family center secretary, all along that umbrella with Brian as the director. And we wouldn't be able to do it without our great team. So thank you to our team. Shout out there.
Takes a village, right?
Yep.
Well, thank you both very much for being here. We really appreciate it. I mean, you're clearly very busy, so we appreciate you taking the time today. So with that,
Thanks
this
so
is
much.
Kim, Zach, and Mary signing off. This is Princeton. Stay here,
Play here.